Previous versions of Spectro-X allowed a single input file, an INQ pair, to be read into the program and played back in various windows to enable the user to visualize, search through, take certain measurements on the data, mark that data, and export it for further analysis or playback via vector signal generators using the XCOM capture and record equipment. But there are many applications where the user may wish to simultaneously view multiple channels of data. Examples include any sort of stimulus response systems development operations, such as the process that an electronic warfare and electronic attack engineer may go through in designing or analyzing radar waveforms and the desired anti-jam waveforms that might result from an aircraft once it recognizes that it is being painted by an enemy radar system. Another example would be the measurement of the cross-polarization radiation performance of an antenna, or the measurement of the radar cross-section of an aircraft in an anechoic chamber, where it's highly desirable for the user to be able to transmit spectrum and record in azimuth and elevation the reflection off of the particular device, whether it's an aircraft or a ground-based device, to be able to measure the reflected radiation off of that vehicle into an antenna simultaneously, and then to play those waveforms back in a synchronized fashion. Other applications might come into play where an engineer is developing either beamforming networks or MIMO applications where possibly 2, 4, 6, maybe even 8 channels of recorded data may want to be looked at simultaneously. So version 4 of Spectro-X shows this as a major enhancement. Here we see a display which is the traditional display of Spectro-X, single channel playback spectrogram showing frequency, power in terms of the spectrum colors as well as time, persistent spectrum showing a visual memory of the frequency domain plot of the capture file, a time domain showing over a time span, a scrolling span of time, what's going on in the time domain, and the playback summary, which as in previous versions allows the user to visually show a magnitude summary of the entire recorded file independent of its length. In the multi-channel version of Spectro-X, if we go into the input file dialog, here you can see this particular version of Spectro-X can actually accommodate up to 6 files, be they XCOM's IQ, XIQ, INQ format pair. It could be Tektronix TIQ formats, or the Agilent .bin formats as well can be read by Spectro-X. So if I wanted to make this into a multi-file display, I would simply go ahead and highlight the particular file tab that I want to designate as the next file for Spectro-X to read, designate a particular file, and here, as in earlier versions of Spectro-X, I would point only to the I of the INQ pair. And when I hit the OK button, Spectro-X will automatically configure itself to accommodate now 3 simultaneous channel displays. I can go ahead and then click on the play button, and all 3 channels are played simultaneously. If I knew, for example, using the playback summary plot, that there was a particular area of interest that I wanted to begin the synchronized playback with, I could go ahead and look at the playback summary using the Start From Here tool, tell Spectro-X only begin playing from where I'm gesturing in one of the windows, release that, and then go ahead and begin the play from that point of view, highlighting and getting much more quickly to what perhaps is an area of interest across all 3 channels. Again, noting that these are synchronized to the level of synchronization that occurred during the recording. If I wanted to slow it down, I can do that, and I can do that in all 3 channels simultaneously, as well as allowing me to zoom in, continuing to zoom in either individually or across all 3 channels. So for example, if this particular area was of interest to me, I can go ahead and tell Spectro-X, I'm going to gesture in this window but I want you to take the magnification level that I'm providing in this window and apply it to all three or individually. In this case, I'm going to designate that I want it to be done across all three, but zooming in on just the one, and then allowing that to play back. I could just as easily undo that and tell Spectro-X I only want to zoom in this particular window. Notice the expanded zoom in on the frequency domain here, but the other two channels, that has not been accomplished. In doing this, it allows the user to not only visually correlate across all three channels, or as many channels as the user has designated, but to then take advantage of additional functions which we're going to be covering in the next chapters of this video, including the ability to place markers in each window and to correlate between those markers across the individual channels to make very important frequency difference and time difference measurements.